I was here straight to our conversation. Honorable Sam Jata George Ababe Kayesa. Yemana Kwaba Nafi Yemfrasie. Honorable, yes, good morning.
Morning,
Apom. Adum Omajo so.
Divine selection Kayente. Yadaso Tiasi.
Yadanyamiasi. And right now our parliament.
I know.
Yemfrasie free sona will enter into LGBTQ conversations. We have to talk about everything that has to do with you. I am unfortunate and say parliament just say easy.
Oh, sir.
Hey. Well, must say easy crowd or parliament was said they are all hard, you know. And no son and say.
My name say me hard, you know. And no son and dear. It wasn't surprising. Now you name say Oman Penyin and I don't go for don dear. 2 minutes there or there 100 over Majo Mama Dada and the on there 9-10 months I can dear on the old train keke. That be oh sorry.
Because I heard him emphatically saying positive. In fact, he even said MPP for best flag bearer. You know how Obedio man pegging in Parliament yesterday.
Yeah, and Kuala you were idea your friend matric you, and now all the year MPP before because if you look at the behavior of the president and then Yama President Bekai. Clearly, you would realize that this is a president who's checked out. And Rakra, Ubon say, what should that throw shade at Baumia? Say, on no Nanado, and taking the credits for everything in government because the buck stops with him. But about 3 weeks ago, Baumia Bekache say, Bibia Ekoso ye were binding the air on Baumia. The Enkoso ye dear, the Enko ye dear, the no dear, and you're not a Nanado. Nanado set the record straight yesterday. But yeah, the fire because driver Banza and in your planke mate there. Oma kunko forma. I don't know because won't mean can't me say we mate and say what uni driver Banza at na kemo. Driver, una ufa passengers, my driver. Una ushe sikasu sikano so my driver. Now when the driver chisa ma.
Say driver na che baby ayeko.
Ukofru ka why na pice
mate ne pai
driver ne
but baby a driver ne catch and say bicycle
and say oh catch say bicycle now when him say yeah call aswa now bicycle now whoso bicycle just say you also equally complicit now me there be make meta where sua choboti there ye the car no mana obeton car no because uhwe baumia ne ye ene ne nyama oye no any boss Nanado there is no hope in any of the two of them. And like Atufo Singh said yesterday, a vote for Baumia is a third term for Akufo-Addo. Obi Biara, you are reeling under the mismanagement of the Akufo-Addo Baumia administration there. You won't want it. Nanaya, Obia will life savings. You know, it's a very, very touchy and painful thing to talk about. Because the life savings were Bobra 30 years. You say, men di Iramechi, men di men's gold chi. Would you follow sika and share a buying bonds more? And no dear, a bank it's and get about one them say would that dear.
You are sure.
Sabaka sika. Na papa paying more, mommy paying more, paying for. Omo de sika ko share buying bonds. Feed ye. We see who you are, who haircut. I'm a former Chief Justice. Etomi demonstration. What be that? Even under Rawlings, I say military ruler. What done? No, you couldn't see a former Chief Justice demonstrated. Say, so now I'm on to me.
Don't say COVID was the cause. Russia-Ukraine war.
What name? I don't know. Yeah, they should know that we have people who have intelligence. I'm going to show you.
In fact, they even accused Mo flag bearer, who is the former president.
So why then?
Okoye interview Amanane Okoka said Russia-Ukraine war ne COVID no ahadwene all over the world, including Ghana. Oba Ghana house MPP na ayema in situation to say.
We read this CNBC. That's an international news portal.
Yes.
Published on Thursday, November 21, 2019. That time now, Russia, Ukraine, and Shah here. China's $2 billion deal with Ghana sparks fears over debt, influence, and the environment. 2019. 2020, February 10. Government receives, and this is from Ghana News Online. Government receives strong warning against excessive borrowing. Now, from pulse.com.gh, February 10, 2020. Here's what Ghana's finance minister says on the country's excessive borrowing habits, despite IMF and World Bank warnings. Until before Russia-Ukraine, IMF, New World Bank, my warning. In fact, with the Wuko Modern Ghana, 26 November 2018, NPP government warned against excessive borrowing. IMF. And say, so obi person obi catch wo ene. Say Russia-Ukraine war. And then Russia no one to bomb na. E pai wachi me bo akwa na. Ukraine ye to pai wo crap no. Omo economy no is not in this kind of mess. China, COVID free hoba no. Ankofo wu ye. Or Italy, over 3 million people died in Italy. In fact, Edru baby no Italy, one move for container, and I want the dead bodies a shame because not much I am. Italy's economy is not where Ghana is. Say see adie, one more catch say COVID ni Russia Ukraine, every African countries ni na. Ama Ghana pe na ye fili. Mamin kind be free. Baumia speech delivered at the National Theatre, September 8th, 2016. Title of the speech: The State of the Economy, a Foundation of Concrete or Straw. On page 36 into 37, or see, Côte d'Ivoire, next door, which has come through a civil war after an electoral dispute, has, thanks to disciplined, honest, and prudent management, recovered dramatically. Its GDP growth, which was 8.4%, while inflation was 1.2%, its GDP growth was 8.4%, while inflation was 1.2% in 2015. Côte d'Ivoire is now the largest producer of cashew in the world, and the economy is being transformed dramatically. Now, this is the point. How can global phenomena skip Côte d'Ivoire and the other surrounding countries and just attack Ghana? Because that time, now you can't Ebola hunsam.
Yes.
Or say, Ebana saying, and I Rebecca say, Ebola ne, Sanyama no bet to me a high. I don't know, Ebe Côte d'Ivoire, Abayo. And then, dear, COVID ni Russia, Ukraine. A free Donetsk ni Zaporizhia ni sa areas na yet to bomb no. Crimea hono. Ama sisia ye two bomb e wachi me bo akwa. Ye two bomb wa chebi Akufo-Addo ni krom.
But me can say when you were talking about
ama bombs ni landing wo central bank. Anti economy no atutu apansan.
Time I'm more complaining about excessive borrowing. Yeah. I remember vividly say His Excellency and then even Ken Oforiatta said, I mean, they have records of what they've done with the money you are talking about. A buying a memo ye the sikana and ye a buying bobosia at the yeniema. He's working with the money that you're complaining. Say, oh, Chichi.
Minyaba. John Ma me Sam George. My Juma wa buying that. Mint na baby enkase busua bo ade bone. But who di wa dwen and the busua. Abra wo bobosua. Wo prema ini. Na wo say wo pese obadware wo wiem. Enti obia ye presidential jet wo ho, wo say enye wo fe. British Airways wo ho, Emirates wo ho, wo say eno nye fe. Wo pe wankasa wo die. A wo betumi Jerry Werim, who prema ini. Ama okobo bosia, edi akotata plane, 17,000 pounds an hour. Plane ni Ghana. It was Switzerland. And to say, who person be full plane no, e be fly 8 hours for Switzerland abaha. 8 hours na e baha no, yetua ho nka wo. E bedru ha, anya say e bedru ha na wo ko, e bedru na ebia then following the answer na wo be ko. The whole time e be tina tamak no so no, na yetua ho nka. Na plane no the wo be free ha ko Belgium. Who ye 2-day meeting wo ho, and the plane no be sign echi asan ko back to Switzerland. But essence say ba befa obiom no 2 days ni nyina no na Ghana for ye tua ho ka. Wo bia na be ka kire me say wa bobosuan di aye adwuma no we. Na yo mama bobosuan. Wo bisa me say o de ye den a. Me bisa o say ye me ka kire say di mechi na yen Kwame Nkrumah circle. Me de bia me ti no de bia me fa circle ansa na me ko adwuma. Ansa na ye Kwame Nkrumah circle interchange. We did 40 minutes. It was circle roundabout. 40 minutes. Traffic no started free alajo. Ene se enye traffic kakra trotro na omo wo PNT enim ho no. 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Now wait him. Enti I save time, I save fuel, I am more productive.
And no man so emu ye.
Me nuaba, na me kan sem chewo. Yesi yabu omine saying. Show evidence that the project was inflated. Again, I even hold the view that the interest of the Ghanaian people is not necessarily in how much the project cost, but in the value of the project. But if you have evidence that the project is inflated, show it. Akufo-Addo said Kaswa interchange was inflated. I'm a Ghana Institute of Engineers ebe trainer there. Kwabene Japan. Or a senior of School of Engineering. Eba out ebe say na the way the one can be. Because if you look at the cost of a project and say, oh, interchange way cost to say inflated. Now we name the structure of the interchanger because we show Kaswa interchange project now. We project no 170 million. Hey, interchange baku. But ene obi biara ofa ho no, we see say enye one interchange. Main one no wo Kaswa. Baku wo ye fere a power line na bibi and baku so wo Galilee. Eye 3 interchanges because we peja traffic no in 3 different places. Apart from that, over 100 kilometers of inner town roads ewo Kaswa were done. School buildings were part of the project. Apart from that, there was a fire station, there was a market built. Because John Mahama had what we call the integrated development approach. Because nyaye ye ni say, nya obekwa ko fa bosuan baako etua ho ka because bosuan bia wo fa no e ka wo ho. Wo be fa bosuan baako for school dan, na fa bosuan baako for fire station, na be na as one. It makes it cheaper to take that facility. Another road aye na say ye fufu su sola. If you've used that road, every single village, Fufusu Solar goes through over 24 communities, villages and towns. Every town, you need town it's nase. Every say almost say, who pay then chips compound, school block, and a mechanized borehole. And to every community, the road passed through, got a value for the road passing through. So if you just take the value of the project and want to compare it with a regular interchanger, just interchange now, it will look inflated. What be some say John Mahama Bosu and boy or the year then Bank of Ghana Hospital. Baby Akufo-Addo ministers ni now womunya COVID. Esan say womko ye party. Akufo-Addo ye Christmas party. Abra yesi obia wo lockdown no. Womu ministers womko ye party ema womunya COVID. That COVID now womunya no. Hotel now womko die womuji wo ayaresa no. Bank of Ghana Hospital. Sa Bank of Ghana Hospital, no every Bank of Ghana. Na Shiru Isahaku, ye governor of the bank. Bank of Ghana Sikano, and na omdi ye, Bank of Ghana no, nya woma bolos. Woma dika 60 billion. E kanechi no, womu si baby womu tino. Bank of Ghana die no, womu si earthquake. Earthquake inti, womu si $250 million. That is $250 million. New office. Someone say, where are the priorities of these people? John Mahama, again, now this Nibosuani here. Ridge Hospital, UGMC, Terminal 3, Kumasi International Airport, Tamale Airport.
There be Tamale ni Kumasi na de Nanado na baby ano. He's even all the was so nanim. I'll say or what to the cry.
I would have even appreciated Sana Kebia.
There was a first and a second.
Oh, me airport.
Yeah, because the phase 1 of the airport for credits there for Mahama, but the phase 2 is for Danado Dakwaku.
If it's a man share project in Asia, where then your phase 2. Phase 1 was to expand the runway.
Yes, sure.
And install lightning to allow 9th time landing.
Yes.
Because to me, international airport status without 9th time navigation systems. You install here, Emma, President Mahama flew straight from London to Kumasi. Ahona oko program otumfo ho a DJ no ko ball nyum bia osa ya edane asem no.
Lumba nyum.
That program, he flew straight from London at night into the place. Otumfo himself flew straight from South Africa into Kumasi at night. Then we started with the contractors. The contractor needing a contractor Ghana Limited. A Brazilian contractor. We did phase 1, and the funding for phase 2 was already being negotiated. And Sana, year free office. We had not finished the funding for phase 2 of KJTR. That's why up till now, KJTR phase 2 has not happened.
But it's ongoing.
KJTR has not happened. It's not happened. Tamale International Airport, I was part of the team that went from the presidency to inspect in 2015. We had finished the runway. We actually flew people to Mecca from Tamale in 2015. We used a wide-body 777, Boeing 777, to fly people from Tamale. Because from Tamale to Jeddah is shorter.
A facelift.
Who's it?
Facelift abajo.
Oh, and that's what I'm saying to you, that it is the same contractor that's building. Now, normally, once you engage a contractor, the projects are phased out. To me, for the whole thing. Again, the problem with that is when you are not done, if you don't take the whole project money at once, because the whole project is 300 million, but phase 1 you're 170 million, phase 2 you're 130 million. 300 now, you are not using all the 300 at the same time. But what you need now at once, interest is being calculated on the whole 300. So it is wiser and safer to take what you need for the first phase. Because to me, phase 2, so phase 1.
Yeah.
So you tell the bank, we're doing 300, but we're doing 170 for the beginning. So already the bank is aware. Said there is a phase 2 that is based on this. And the benefit of phase 2, they say, you don't go through all the rigorous things I will go through for phase 1 because project is already underway with the same contractor. This is the evidence of what John Mahama did. Typical example of Terminal 3. Terminal 3, John Mahama say, Airport 4, take it to be a wood tunnel. If you take your time and look at the breakdown and see the amount of taxes a airport company now, and yes, small. And say, a buying Ebeji Bosuano, but we only act as guarantors. Airport company, a kind of better would and then you will pay from your own monies you generate. 2015, 2016, the whole of 2016, they serviced the loan. 2017, they were even servicing the loan. Then Ken Oforiatta decided, say, Sasikano Obekwa collateralize. And then as we speak, that loan is in default. Terminal 3. Because they've collateralized the money. Sika bebrebe ananado abosu an wakojino. Chreme.
Why are quite 10,800 and over?
55 kilometers of roads.
Honorable.
Ekwan. Enye nchini a ewo nkwan mo. A obeka se wonhu. Se ye kwan a. Mahama time. Who kai say ye wo bibi 2015 na your friend Mahama Magic. Nkrofo to me free fie anopa. Who ko fie enwumre no wo be pa wo fie enim.
ABC wo cantonment.
Wo be pa wo fie enim. Esan say wonim say me fie we die me kwan we die.
Ba wa ye bi wo poku ase.
Me pa poku ase die. Portos ni ade wo. Wo be ko fie no na ya kata so ama ya asphalt. Mahama Magic. People saw the roads. Poku ase again. I keep saying, say, they should bring the evidence of a loan agreement into after 2016. The funding for Pokwasi was secured in 2016. Admitted. Pokwasi under us was designed as a 3-tier interchange.
Yes.
They added a new 4th
redesigned.
tier. They did a redesign of it. But that doesn't change the fact that somebody secured the money for you. And listen, government is a continuum. And that has always been our problem. Yeah. And to show you how the NDC works, when Professor Mills was going to commission N1, he didn't commission it alone. He invited President Kufuor.
Yes.
Because President Kufuor was the one who secured the funding for N1
Yes.
under Millennium Challenge
Yes,
account.
that's true.
When President Mahama was going to do the commissioning of Bui, again, we took President Kufuor because we recognized that he sourced the funding for it. Tema interchange. Who come with constituency? Tema interchange. JICA. Japanese government and the MIS. The Japanese government had stopped providing funding to Ghana for 11 years. It took John Mahama to go and unlock it and get 1.2 trillion yen, Japanese yen, for that project. People don't understand why. John Mahama aye juma Jaikada at the Japanese embassy before he became a politician. And so he's a very well-known person in Japan. At that time, Shinzo Abe, who was prime minister, had been head of JICA at the time John Mahama was country manager here. So they had a long time working relationship for over 20 years. So John went back to Japan and said, Prime Minister, you know what? Japan and Ghana, what buying power. Under Rawlings, Japan did a lot of funding. They seized it at a certain point in time. We want to reactivate this. And he got the funding for that project.
I know, sir, Ubeko LGBTQ, but my main file won't come back. Let me miss a question about Dr. Bawumia. I think, sir, he's not a known politician like you, like Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and John Mahama, having passed through the mill. And because the deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, would you say, sir, per what Nanado said, sir, he's the best candidate for the NPP? He has been able to live up to expectation as a vice president and being elected as a presidential candidate for the NPP?
Okay, fantastic question. I believe, sir, we need to look at people's track record. And yes, sir, me NDC me. But me a MPP ni enti penance.
Yeah.
Say oye adia eya a eboa Ghana. I say na yanka say no kwani.
Sure.
Now, Bawumia was sold to us by President Akufo-Addo. Say wako fan of the Bank of Ghana esan say onembe biasika no. And he's an economic whiz kid. Who guys are news headline now? Samira say, my husband is an economic whiz kid.
Yes.
Lectures now about me, you know. Look, I know a lot of middle class or floating voters or people who are not necessarily NPP or NDC. At 2016, not because of Nanado, but because of Dr. Bawumia and in the lectures. Because the business community felt that Obia Okan Womasem and the Bedi head of the economic management team. We agree on that. Now, we are being told, say, the economy is no longer Bawumia's area, but it is digitization. That in itself is problematic. But let's look at the economy. Because Bawumia has been the head of the economic management team since 2017.
Yes.
In 2016, Abra John Mahama handed over power. The cedi was trading at 4 to the dollar. And now Yekasai is 13. In fact, just in the space of the last 10 days, it's moved from 12.3 to 13.
It's 12.99 to 13.
So we're just looking at, and this is Bawumia who at 4 told us that the economy had been so mismanaged and the fundamentals near weaker. Currency need depreciate, currency exchange rate will expose you.
Yeah.
Now and yet 4 and yet 6. In fact, Mukai say
he's done a lecture on that.
Jamba for because there was no sense in it. There was no logic in it.
He said it was true before and it is true now.
Now, yeah.
But he said you cannot say the economy is weak because the city is depreciating. So what's the sense in what he's saying?
But the economy then is different from the economy now.
How is the economy different? I mean, he's tickling himself and laughing. Because this is the same man who 100 days in office in 2017. Ekow Joy FM studios. I can say what arrested dollar no. The key no.
I'm IGP.
And I remind people say even as at January 1st, 2021, after the first 4 years, the city was only six to the dollar. The city was 6 to the dollar.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
In the space of 1 year. And then 12 ni 13 a year kan yapa ho da. We went to 16. And so now all of a sudden it dropped down to 8, then came to 10, and now we are back to 12.
That one was Russia, Ukraine. I'm not sure that. Let's not go back to that.
Russia, Ukraine?
And COVID.
The rate of inflation. I want to do a few economic indicators.
Go.
Because the president spoke about macroeconomic indicators and said, in the State of the Nation, and said they are looking in the right direction. Inflation
has dropped from
inflation 54. In 2016. Let me take it from what you said. Drop from 54 to 23.5. When I would the inflation, I could do 54. Say, about down to 23.5, I would say yen to nyum frel. Inflation was only 15.4% in December 2016. Inflation was 15.4%. And now it is 23.5% from 54%. Ekow under them. Food inflation. What you're planting for food and jobs? Food inflation 27.1%. So you ask yourself, which of the macroeconomic indicators is Nanado saying is working well? Me share debt to GDP. 2016, 56%. As of December 2022, 103%. And see, how do you tell me that the indicators are looking better? Ekow to say GDP growth rate in 2016 it was 3.6%. At the end of the first 3 quarters of 2023, 2.8%. So there are none of the indicators that are better. We share growth in the economy. We see 1D, 1F. Industry
over 300.
Industry sector. Now figures we use 2017 budget figures. 2017 budget now can offer it and the first budget are all presented to Parliament. On my figures for 2016. And I'm using the last budget can offer it presented 2024. Our my figures for 2023. And doing and none of these figures is from me. They're from the budget and you can confirm them. Industry in 2016 to and more like it grew by 4.3%. In 2023, it grew by negative 1.2. Just say according to 1.2. So from 4.3, no, you drew 0. Am I call negative?
But there's no reason. As I said, COVID, Russia, Ukraine.
Industry, 1D, 1F, private sector.
Investors.
The reason is why industry is going negative. Na dollar no one share so.
All these international issues, see any problems in this.
Ukraine, maybe I two bomb no. Currency no has not depreciated as bad as the Ghanaian cedi. In fact, in 2022 and 2023, the Ghanaian cedi was the worst performing currency in the whole world.
In this recent lecture, he did indicate say Onua on a direction. I mean, there are so many of these taxes are best grabbing the free honomo because he only played an advisory role as the vice president.
Yeah. Ansana Womuba Power 2016. Unim bibi a friend 11.
No, there was not.
Unim bibi a friend emission tax. Unim bibi a friend bed tax. Taxes are a function of the economic policy team of the government. The economic policy team is made up of the economic management team and the economic advisory council. Baumia sits on both. Chairs the economic management team. He chairs the cabinet subcommittee on finance. He's the chair of the committee of the economic management team. He's the chairman.
Yes, but he doesn't implement.
With him, Yenko Baumia website, the campaign website.
Okay.
Baumia.com. Baumia.com. Also, now Obi Biara or Tieno on Koso. We call the campaign website. You say click to enter. Now you go in. We check here our biography. Meet Baumia. Biography. Now Ewomni, and this is it. This is it. This is it.
Yes.
Good. Dr. Mahmoud Baumia is the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. He chairs the economic management team which is broadly responsible for one, shaping the government policies. But you commit Baumia, who commit Baumia ewo.
Enter. So you click here to enter.
Yes. And then biography, fantastic. Yes. I mean, kind from Muhammad so that say me kind baby. Dr. Mahmoud Baumia is the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. He chairs the economic management team, which is broadly responsible for shaping the government's policy and guiding their implementation. And he is telling us about him.
Yes.
One can say a year advisory, or say he shapes government policy and guides the implementation. So it's not just the policy, but even the implementation. Guides it. He is at the forefront of a broad inclusive development strategy in Ghana, involving, among others, the leveraging of digitized government services to transform the delivery of public services and digitalizing the economy with an overall objective of building Ghana's digital economy. And see,
so this is where he explained when you talked about the dollar CD exposing you that his explanation was the usage of digitalization to solve our economic problems.
Nana,
Sam,
I'm just trying to establish for you. Say if the man says I only advise.
Yes.
Where you in the campaign website.
Yeah.
Where you in your or say he is the one responsible. He chairs the team.
Yes.
Responsible for shaping government policies. And it doesn't end there. You see, it's one thing to shape the policy and then leave it for somebody else. But he says he is responsible for guiding the implementation as well. So you cannot extricate yourself now from the policy and say minimum share. Because he's speaking from both sides of his mouth. Which one do we believe? A man who we cannot believe, we cannot trust to run this country. A man who can be truthful about what his role is. Yeah, you ask yourself, all the so-called interventions about me as CYA. First one now, CYA. Ghana Post GPS.
Yes.
Jack, where are you? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Let's be honest with ourselves. If you use that app, is it different from Google Maps?
Not at all.
Not really.
Not at all.
Is it not just the interface? I would be rim and yet the only difference from Google Maps. And now what Ghana, who send the OB location pin, and yet Google Maps now they send the location pin.
Yeah.
And yet now the coffee. Yet we paid somebody for that. We paid 5 million of taxpayers' money for that. Meanwhile, there was Snookcode that had developed a similar thing that was ready to do it for free for Ghana.
But this one we have an address at the moment. Now you can put your address there that this is where I live, like Ekow Bank. Now you beside address they give you.
Sir, I didn't TV3 and our media general premises. One building. In fact, Onua, this is your building.
Yes.
Mijinahana me generative address.
GHA.
It is different from Mijina Donano. Give me a different code. How do you have addressing that way? We've all seen postcodes across the world.
Yeah, sure.
If you use the zip code in America, it gives you a number of addresses which are physical addresses. And for example, if my postcode in the US is 08830 in New Jersey, when I enter it, if the website wants me to give specific addresses, that postcode has a number of about 100 addresses under that postcode. So you then go, which one is your address? On Grand Avenue, you pick the particular address. So to every zip code, there are physical house addresses. If you go to the UK and you give your postcode, in the UK it's called postcode. If I give my postcode there, SW1046, again, there are specific house addresses that are under it. With GPS code, no. What address is linked to it? It's all over the place. One building, you can have multiple addresses. So how do you call that an address? Jack, where are you? Really, Jack, where are you? Interoperability about me, Ekow. Look, let's break that myth today. Maybe I'm for review. As far back as 2015, 2016, we use MTN now, we use Vodafone now, to me send it to maybe I'll review. Me send it to now, send it token.
Yeah, token, yes. Sure. There was a certain token.
Me send it token. Who the token no kwa? Who bought token now?
Yeah.
Now you're okay.
Yeah, sure.
But when you're direct.
Then Bank of Ghana. I can say, look, we even want to make this direct without the use of a token. And say, year tender. Company be a friend almost 17 switch and a BB. We need contract. The reason they won the contract was because it was going to be done as a BOOT project.
Okay.
Meaning that a buy and fund sika baku kapre and you will fund it, develop it, operate it over a period of time, and take a percentage to cover your cost. Now, Bawumia goes around saying that NDC was going to do this for at a cost of 1.5 billion. The 1.5 billion was the estimated value of transactions that will happen over the 10 years a BOT will happen. So when you want to calculate what the percentage you will agree with the developer of the software, you have to have a projection. Say, yeah, 1%. Ubi say me 1%. Me see there be me 1%. Me 0.5%. But it must be of an estimated amount. That is what will allow you to do the calculations.
So that was the estimated amount.
It is estimated value of transactions that the whole project will process over 10 years at 1.5 billion. Take the contract that Bank of Ghana signed with 15 Switch and read it. In there was no payment from the Bank of Ghana. Bawumia, you went and paid $4.5 million for the same thing that would have been done for free for us. And even after paying $4.5 million upfront, the company that has done it still gets a management fee. So who did it cheaper? You see, we can go on and on and on. If there anything Bawumia says digitization, and baby, I will agree there. I feel the Vice President Dr. Bawumia. Now you know, I don't see the difference between that and stealing. Okay. And this year a manifesto committee on ICT.
Yes.
Party no, Afreme say I should chair that committee. Yeni team na start say Juma very quietly. Yeah, the proposals, policy proposals, I could to a flag bearer in him that. Yeah, policy dialogue. I was Pediasi Valley Resorts last week Friday, Thursday and Friday. Yeah, presentation. My committee did a presentation to CSOs and everything. We put out 15 policy initiatives. Initial 15 policy in ICT and telecoms. President Mahama Eba Friday to do the closing. And in his closing remark, he announced some of the policies. Because you see, it's one thing you proposing the policy to the party. It's another thing the flag bearer and the party accepting to make it a policy thing. So we just did a proposal as presentation. Bizarre questions, and all. 3 of the proposals we made were announced by President Mahama. First was the digital job initiatives, which will create 300,000 jobs for young people at no cost to the state in partnership with private enterprises. The second one was our coding for employment. 1 million coders. I would train them and then move them into an ICT park to do business process outsourcing and knowledge process outsourcing, a bigger version of Accra Digital Center. The third one. And you see, it hits me so hard because the night before, we had a meeting till almost 1 a.m. We had to bring in people from Bank of Ghana, formerly from the Bank of Ghana, from Finance Ministry, to discuss the amount that we could do realistically. A $50 million US dollar fund for fintechs. I remember that argument so hard, and I was so excited when President Mahama announced it.
And what happened?
Friday. Monday, ya Fred Bawumia say on speech. It was 3i conference. Okodu Honor. You've been vice president for 7 years. Yes, you won't only lead digitization. He goes there on Monday to announce that government is planning to do a fintech fund. How cheap can you be?
Well, we have a policy.
But don't to me, who we are there now won't nima. Won't to me,
the assertion that the president said, Dr. Bawumia is the best to lead the NPP. Is it going to be that easy for you in the 2024 elections?
But even within the NPP.
Pay all the preambles now, money now.
And I'll just give you.
Okay.
President Kufuor. What was the percentage the NPP gave to him in 2000 to be their flag bearer? Over 70%.
Sure.
With the exception of Nanado from the marriage of the 17. Because of the numbers, no.
Yeah, sure.
He had 49%.
Yes.
But when he went the second time, he had overwhelming 98%. what did Nanado Bawumia get? Even within the MPP former MPP Nkofa, yeah, the MPP extra wamu funuma yes and I can. MPP delegates, almost 40% of them believe that Dr. Bawumia is not the right person at this point in time to lead the MPP. And this is after the whole government machinery.
But he did better than Nanado then.
No. You see, Nanado didn't have the whole government machinery support him in 2007.
Yes.
Nanado contested with 17 people. And so Obia EGB. This was a race between what? Nipa Mienu. Because Alan had backed out. It was Bawumia and Ken. Ken came into the race less than a year. In fact, Ken came in a matter of months.
Yeah, sure.
Ken did not have the establishment behind him. Look, Nanado physically was involved in the campaign for Bawumia.
He said he wasn't.
Oh, please.
He came out himself. He said
government
he wasn't.
ministers.
And there was no government
ministers. You understand me? Even with that, look, if it was a straight fight, level playing field for Bawumia and Ken, we all know Ken would have defeated him. So even within the NPP, they don't see Bawumia as fit to lead the country. Because like Kennedy Japan asked, or say, dollar, for businesses. I mean, Nana, look, a big business. Now the capital, 10 million Ghana cedis. How they cry yama? Abra MPP buy. At that time, 10 million Ghana no, $2.5 million. How they cry yama free China. Eton adewa. Wanye bonibia. Ni 10 million no, and do 1 million. About 850,000. You have more than 75% reduced Nipano spending capacity. And Mami Andy, what is going to happen? It's like what happened to the NDC in 2016. And I said this on radio before. No. We fixed Doomsaw in 2016. And I said to people, and I said on radio, that the damage we had done to people cannot be fixed by us fixing Doomsaw. Because Obi business, Akranyama, ni cold store, Egu, ni drink business. I say, so yes, you fixed Doomsaw, but
you cannot bring back
you can bring back his business. You've not restored the person. Obi's life savings. Look, my parents are elderly. I buy their medication every month. I buy it in Osu, pop-up pharmacy. People have met me there several times. I live there in pain because I see other elderly people.
So you are saying if the economy is now picking up,
even if it is picking up, listen, Nana, I know how much I was spending on medication for my parents, their monthly drugs. It's increased by 4 times. I see people who come there, diabetes, BP. Edrono, esa ufa na debia. Waba, last month, Oto Edrono, 900 Ghana cedis. Waba this month, 1,004. Okay, 900. And Chobaka Chow said, Mommy, half those.
What do you mean, Tony?
She said, Ofa Bakwe na. Obe skippy one day. Such a person. You think, say, you are telling him the economy is looking forward and you've changed it?
10 now, but you go for some more parking near my dinner jubilee. You are behaving like you've already won. Is that what is happening?
That one, I will use your platform to sound a warning to the NDC. This election is going to be the most difficult election we will face. Because you have a president who is desperate not to hand over power. You see, and now President Akufo-Addo the State of the Nation address or say, we want a free and fair election. Yet the same president has said he will not hand over power to the NDC. President Akufo-Addo has said it himself publicly. Yet he comes to stand in parliament and says he's going to hand over power. And this is a president who, when he wanted to re-elect himself, to pretended over the murder of 8 Ghanaian citizens. For 4 years, Akufo-Addo has delivered 4 State of the Nation's address. He's not even said sorry to the families of those 8. So this is going to be an election. We will fight it with all our life.
We need another date with you because you're LGBT. There's a lot of conversations. There's a lot you have to have a conversation.
Professor Techiwa was see President Akufo-Addo and the tower Michi say court and court bail. Yes, Professor Techiwa Menu. I'm mentioning her name. me was story no.
Say president
Or say president Akufo-Addo say
bill.
pay your bill no. And ono no share wo mechi. Ama wo mutumi say o munko court and fight your bill no.
Aye, you better uncle so. Nadine de Sam George. Honorable Sam Jata George.
Onua 95.1 FM. 95.1 FM. Yeah,